Could video games make you smarter? Like, smart enough to have an impact on your life? Possibly, but it'll take some effort. Could video games not necessarily make you smarter, but provide you with the lessons so you could do it yourself? Absolutely.
Show me your true form.
Story time. You're a high school student in Tokyo, but not just any student, a kid on probation after being wrongfully accused of a crime. You're sent to live in a new city, attend a new school with some unnecessarily cool school clothes,
Fashion.
and basically try to keep a low profile. Sounds simple, right? Well, this is where things get interesting. The world of Persona 5 Royal is anything but ordinary. By day, you're juggling school life, trying to get good grades, make friends, eat burgers, maybe even find a part-time job. But by night, you're part of a secret group known as the Phantom Thieves of Hearts. Your mission? To enter a mysterious dimension called the Metaverse and steal the distorted desires from corrupt adults' hearts. Or a teen ginger in one case. Changing them for the better. It's a mix of high school drama, social simulation, and dungeon crawling wrapped up in one stylish package. And oh, is it stylish! The game's core loop revolves around time management. You have a calendar that's consistently moving forward, and every single day you're given a choice of how to spend your time. Do you study for that big exam coming up? Hang out with your friends to strengthen your social bonds? Train to get stronger for the battles ahead? Or dive into the metaverse to take down some shadows? Every decision you make affects your character's abilities and relationships, which in turn influence the outcome of the game. But here's where it really hooks you. The pressure. You only have a limited amount of time to do everything you need to do. Time flies by, and every action costs you a piece of your day. The stakes are high, and the choices you make feel meaningful because they directly impact your progress. It's a game that's all about making the most out of every moment, which makes it not just a thrilling RPG, but also a masterclass in waifu hunting.
Time management. Time management.
And that's when I realized something. Up until this point, I thought I was just playing a game, but Persona 5 was subtly teaching me to think differently about my time and how I use it. It made me realize that every small action could lead to big changes down the road, both in the game and in real life. One of the most brilliant aspects of Persona 5 is its approach to time management. The game challenges you to think about how you spend every moment, forcing you to make tough decisions with the clock ticking in the background. You've got school, friendships, training, burger eating, and dungeon crawling to juggle. All of it happening on a set schedule. The calendar moves forward whether you're ready or not, and every day you're faced with the same question.
Why can't I date Sainijima? And also, what's the best use of my time?
This pressure to optimize your day isn't just a gameplay gimmick. It's a lesson in prioritization. Every choice in the game has consequences that affect your progress.
I remembered something I read in a book. Or more specifically, James Clear's Atomic Habits.
You quickly learn that even the smallest actions, like reading a book on the train, grabbing a coffee, or eating a fucking burger, can add up over time to create meaningful progress. It's not just about big heroic deeds, it's about the smaller, everyday actions.
And this is where Atomic Habits comes in. James Clear talks about tiny habits, emphasizing that small, consistent actions lead to major results over time. In Persona 5, this is the heart of the gameplay. The game encourages you to focus on those small wins, like going out with a friend or going to your part-time job. It's like Clear's idea of casting votes to become the person you want to become every time you make a choice.
The game's time management mechanics mirror Clear's concept of the 2-minute rule. If it takes less than 2 minutes, do it now. In Persona 5 Royal, these are the little things you can quickly check off your list that don't progress your day. Getting Kawakami, who I refuse to call Becky, to do your washing, watering your plants for kindness, or Googling the crossword in LeBlanc. Each of these tiny actions don't feel like much in the moment, but together they create a snowball effect that propel you forward. Playing the game taught me to stop waiting for the perfect moment to tackle my goals. Instead, I started to value the power of incremental progress. In real life, I began to break down my tasks into smaller pieces, just like in the game. If I had 10 minutes to spare, I'd do something productive, answer emails, tidy up my space, or read a few pages of a book. The little things that seemed insignificant before became my secret weapon for getting more done. In Persona 5, there's never enough time to do everything. The 1 year you're given is just too short. That's the point. It pushes you to think critically about what really matters and how to make the most of every opportunity. And when you apply that same mindset to real life, suddenly your own days start to feel more like a game. You start looking for those small wins, those little actions that can add up to big changes over time. Planning a heist in Persona 5 Royal isn't just about kicking down the door, punching the baddie in the nuts, and grabbing the treasure. It takes careful strategy, preparation, and most importantly, good time management. You can't just run headfirst into the Metaverse, punching nuts, and expect to succeed. Instead, the game forces you to take a step back and make a plan. You have to decide when to infiltrate the palace, when to rest, when to train, and when to build relationships. It's a balancing act that requires you to think several steps ahead.
The strategic planning mirrors something Clear talks about in the book called implementation intentions. The idea is simple. You're more likely to follow through on a plan if you set down clear when, how, and where you're going to follow through. For example, instead of saying, I'll work out tomorrow, you can say, I'm going to work out tomorrow at 7 a.m. at the gym nearest my house. It's all about making your intentions concrete and actionable.
Your success hinges on how well you manage your time and plan your moves. You don't have unlimited days to clear a palace. If you don't plan well, you'll end up scrambling to complete the mission before the deadline, which leads to stress, which leads to mistakes, which leads to divorce, which leads to alimony, which leads to depression. On the flip side, if you break your goals into smaller, manageable tasks and spread them out across your available days, you can clear the palace at a steady pace.
The longer I can listen to Kanashiro's palace theme, the better.
This directly applies to how we handle productivity in real life, whether it's tackling a big project or managing our daily tasks. Having a plan makes all the difference. You can't just wing it and hope for the best. You need a strategy. When I started applying this approach to my own life, I noticed a huge difference. Instead of saying I'll write this script eventually, I started breaking it down. I'll write the introduction today from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. and then outline the next section after lunch. Suddenly, my goals felt a lot more achievable. Just like in Persona 5, where you plan your infiltration around specific days, you can plan your productivity around specific times and tasks. This method keeps you focused and helps avoid the overwhelming feeling of having too much to do. In fact, the game structure almost teaches you to create a blueprint for success, whether that's for a heist or your real-life goals. And here's the key takeaway. Success, whether in-game or out, doesn't come from random bursts of activity. It comes from consistently showing up with a plan, knowing exactly what you're going to do and when you're going to do it. The Phantom Thieves never jump into a heist without thinking things through.
And neither should we. By setting clear intentions, we're able to chip away at our goals, one small action at a time, until we achieve something bigger.
Persona 5 Royal shows us that even the grandest of heists requires careful planning and precise execution. In the same way, achieving our real-life goals requires more than just motivation. It takes strategy, structure, and a clear plan of action. By following this approach, you not only stay productive, but you also ensure that every step you take moves you closer to success.
One of the toughest lessons that Persona 5 teaches us is that setbacks are inevitable. No matter how well you plan, things won't always go your way. Sometimes you'll miscalculate. Sometimes you'll run out of time. And sometimes your dad dies on live television while you're at Disneyland. In those moments, it's easy to feel like all of your efforts have been wasted.
But here's the truth. Setbacks are a natural part of the process, both in the game, in life, and at Disneyland. This ties directly into a concept from Atomic Habits called the plateau of latent potential. Clear explains that when you're building habits or working toward a goal, progress isn't always visible right away. It's like an ice cube slowly melting in a room that's gradually warming up. Nothing seems to happen until the temperature hits 32 degrees, and suddenly the ice starts to melt. In Persona 5, it often feels like you're grinding away without seeing immediate results. You're studying every day, working that part-time job, building your social skills, eating the same damn burger, and training your character, but the progress seems slow. Then, almost out of nowhere, it all starts coming together. Those skills you've been honing, the bonds you've built with your confidants, and the knowledge you've gained suddenly become the key to unlocking new abilities and advancing the story. This is exactly how the plateau of latent potential works in real life. You might be putting in the effort day after day with little to show for it. It's frustrating, and it's easy to lose motivation when you don't see immediate rewards. But just like in the game, your consistent actions are laying the groundwork for a breakthrough. The small habits you're developing are setting you up for success, even if the results aren't visible yet. In moments of frustration, it's crucial to remember that progress isn't always linear. Just because you're not seeing results right away doesn't mean they aren't coming. Persona 5 teaches you that sometimes the most significant changes happen when you least expect them. It's those moments when you've been grinding, leveling up your character little by little, that prepare you for the big boss battles ahead. When you hit a setback, both in the game and in real life, it's easy to want to give up or to start doubting your approach. But setbacks are just part of the journey.
It's like that meme of Bear Grylls. Improvise, adapt, overcome. You know,
The Phantom Thieves don't quit when their plans go wrong. They regroup, rethink their strategy, and come back stronger. And that's exactly the mindset you need when building habits or working toward any goal. The key is to stay consistent, even when it feels like nothing's happening. Keep casting those daily votes for the kind of person you want to be, like we said earlier. Whether it's doing your daily study sessions, practicing a skill, or simply showing up when it's hard.
Every action counts. Over time, those small actions will compound and you'll break through the plateau into a whole new level of progress.
So the next time you hit a rough patch, remember the lessons from the Phantom Thieves. Don't be discouraged by setbacks. Instead, see them as stepping stones. Tiny stepping stones that you might slip on, but stepping stones nonetheless. They're part of the process that lead you toward your breakthrough moment. One of the most rewarding aspects of Persona 5 is how its mechanics push you to create routines that help you achieve your in-game goals. The game's calendar system and daily choices teach you to be strategic with your time, making every action count. But what if we took those same mechanics and applied them to our real lives? This is where James Clear's concept of habit stacking from Atomic Habits come into play. Habit stacking is all about building new habits by linking them to existing ones, creating a chain of behaviors that naturally flow from one to the next. In Persona 5, you're already habit stacking without realizing it. You might start your in-game day by going to school, followed by spending time with a friend, or trying to convince Makoto that you want to date her sister real bad, then finishing the evening by going to the gym or the movies. Each action leads smoothly into the next, creating a productive rhythm.
To bring this idea into life, think about your daily routine as actions in a game. For example, if you would like to read more, stick it at the back of a habit that you're already doing every morning. After your morning coffee, just put your book down next to the kettle so that you can read 10 pages while you make your morning coffee or afterwards. By linking your new habit to an already established routine, you'll make it easier to stick to. Science.
Another mechanic from Persona 5 that you can turn into a real-life habit system is the concept of confidant relationships or social links. In the game, spending time with your confidants strengthens your bond with them, unlocking new abilities and advantages in battles. In life, this could translate into networking or nurturing relationships that support your personal and professional growth. Just like you plan who to spend time with in the game, you can set regular check-ins with mentors, friends, colleagues, and your mom that you should definitely call at least once a week and stop forgetting to call because she raised you and brought you into this world and she could just as easily take you out of it.
You know, to develop those connections.
Then there's the idea of skill building that we touched on earlier. In Persona 5 Royal, you're always working on improving your character's stats, knowledge, charm, guts, proficiency, girth, and kindness. You do this by engaging in different activities that slowly level up these attributes. This mirrors Clear's principle of making small 1% improvements in your daily life. It's about identifying the key areas you want to grow in and finding tiny actions you can take every day to get better at them. For example, if you want to improve your communication skills, you can start by practicing one small technique each day, like maintaining eye contact, asking open-ended questions, or just making the doctor's appointment yourself like a grown-ass adult. Just like in the game, these small efforts don't feel monumental on their own, but over time, they build up to something significant.
You're not just focusing on the end goal, you're focusing on the systems that gets you there. And that's exactly what James Clear emphasizes.
Finally, Persona 5 encourages you to review and adapt your strategy throughout the game. The game's time pressure forces you to evaluate what's working out and what's not, pushing you to make changes on the fly and why the hell you can't beat the bullshit Okumura boss fight. In real life, this is where habit tracking comes into play. By keeping track of your habits, whether in a journal, an app, or a simple checklist, you can see where you're making progress, how often you see which friends, how many burgers you've eaten, and where you might need to tweak your approach. The beauty of turning these game mechanics into real-life systems is that it makes habit building feel more like a game. You're not just mindlessly going through the motions, you're actively engaging with your day-to-day life, leveling up and getting stronger with each small win.
Atomic Habits break down habit building into 4 steps. Make it obvious, make it attractive, make it easy, and make it satisfying. These principles serve as the blueprint for habits that stick, and wouldn't you know it, they're present in Persona 5 as well. Wow, who knew? Well, good video.
The first rule of habit building is to make your cues clear and noticeable. In Persona 5 Royal, your objectives are always visible on your screen, reminding you of your upcoming tasks and the deadlines for completing them. The game constantly prompts you to take action. This clear presentation of goals acts as a visual cue that pushes you to stay focused and take the next step. Translating this into real life means setting up cues that make your desired habits impossible to ignore, like leaving your workout clothes out the night before or placing your book on your pillow so you remember to read before bed. Making a habit attractive increases your motivation to engage in it. Persona 5 nails this by making each action's animation stylish. With a sense of progression as you level up your stats and deepening storylines of each confidant, the game turns even the smallest tweaks into something easy on the eyes. You're motivated to complete these activities because the game rewards you with new abilities, better stats, and rich story developments.
And all of them look good.
In real life, you can make these habits more attractive by pairing them with something you enjoy, like listening to your favorite music while exercising, or treating yourself to a small reward after completing a study session, like playing more Persona 5. The easier a habit is to start, the more likely you are to stick with it. In Persona 5, the game streamlines the process by making choices and taking action. It's simple to decide what to do each day because your options are clear, and the game breaks down your tasks into manageable steps in the form of messages on your phone. The simplicity encourages you to keep moving forward. The lesson here is to reduce the friction for your own habits. Break down big goals into smaller, more manageable tasks, and make the first step so easy that you can't say no. Want to read more? Start with just one page. Want to exercise? Start with a 2-minute walk. The key is to make it as effortless as possible just to get started. Persona 5 Royal excels at making every small achievement feel satisfying. Whether you successfully ace an exam, start dating Makoto just to be closer to Sai, or unlock a new ability in battle, the game provides immediate feedback and gratification. This sense of accomplishment drives you to keep playing and achieving more. In real life, habits that provide a satisfying result are more likely to be repeated. Find ways to celebrate your wins, no matter how small they are. This could be as simple as crossing tasks off a to-do list or treating yourself when you hit a milestone. The more satisfying the reward, the more you'll want to repeat the action. Like Makoto Dearest says after each battle,
"Don't forget this feeling."
when you combine these 4 rules with the gameplay of Persona 5, you create a powerful framework for building lasting habits. The game itself acts as a masterclass in habit building, showing you how to design your life around systems that naturally lead to success. By applying these principles from Atomic Habits to your own life, you'll find that creating good habits can be as engaging and rewarding as eating a burger. Persona 5 could be a lot of things, but with the right perspective, it could be a guide on how to take control of your time, build habits that matter, and transform your life step by step. The game constantly teaches you the value of intentional actions and consistent growth. And when you layer that with James Clear's principles from Atomic Habits, you get a roadmap to real-life transformation. We've seen how the game's mechanics align with the 4 rules of habit building. Make it obvious, make it attractive, make it easy, and make it satisfying. By applying these rules to our daily lives, we can start to design habits that are as engaging and rewarding as any quest in the Metaverse. Just like the Phantom Thieves, we all face challenges that seem insurmountable. But with the right mindset and systems in place, we can turn those challenges into opportunities for growth, which sounds cringy, but it's not, okay? It's not about waiting for the perfect moment or the perfect plan. It's about taking action. Even if it's just a small step, progress isn't about the grand gestures, it's about the small, consistent actions that add up over time.
The next time you pick up your controller to play Persona 5 or Persona 5 Royal, remember that the skills that you're honing can be translated to real life. And with a little strategy and the right habits in place, you can pull off the greatest heist of all, taking back control of your time.
You'll never see it coming.